This episode was helped brought to you by our newest sponsor, Kalona Brewing Company. They're a brewery out there in eastern Iowa. So if you're in the area, make sure to stop by Kalona and check out their brewery. Great food at the restaurant there, great beer, obviously. If you're in the Midwest, check out any Hy-Vees. I believe they carry the 6-packs, and they have different types of flavors. So you guys are going to want to, definitely try that out. And I think throughout this whole process, Fishing Kid and myself for Beer Fish Fanatics, we're going to be doing some giveaways here and there. If you guys can go ahead and tag us here and there with your Kalona beer. So other than that, enjoy the episode, guys. All right, welcome to another episode of Beer Fish Fanatics. This is Granny with Ma Pa Fishing. We got
Kit with the Fishing Kit YouTube channel and on TikTok.
Dude, okay. So if you guys have been listening and watching, I'm just curious, how many views have you reached on that freaking video now?
Oh, that one video, It's got 420 some thousand.
Wow. Viral off of filleting a walleye.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a fluke because every other video is like, a few hundred or a couple thousand here and there.
There you go. So make sure you guys follow Fishing Kit on TikTok and Beer Fish Fanatics, please.
For some wholesome fishing content.
There you go.
That's right.
Today, we're on site here, and you guys are probably wondering who's this gentleman in the center here. He's the man of the hour, the man, the myth, the legend.
That's right.
You probably have heard us talk about Mr. Yang.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you for joining us, man.
Hey.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
We didn't have anybody else to really talk shit with, so we grabbed this guy since he likes to fish with us.
Hey,
Right?
I'm a truth teller today.
All right.
Got a question? You go ahead and submit that question. Hey, I will do my best to answer it. You may not like the answer, but you will get an answer.
All right, sounds good. Well, today I'm drinking from Peachtree Brewing. I'm drinking the Lake Loop Pale Ale.
Wow.
It's a pale ale.
Whoa.
What do you got, kid?
Go ahead, Mr. Yang.
Mr. Yang first.
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Yang.
And you know what? I got a blonde fat ale. Wow. Wow.
That one's a
yeah.
Peachtree also. That's
I
a
know.
fat ale. We'll call it a
Fat
fat
ale.
ale.
I would have liked it better if it was a blondie fatty, but it's all right. I'm okay with that.
What do you got, kid?
I got the from Exile Brewing Company, the Zoltan Session IPA.
So,
Well, it says Island Ale on here.
is it?
Usually it says Session IPA, right?
Yeah.
Island Ale.
Is it session?
Hmm.
I don't know. Cheers,
Yeah.
guys.
Thank you.
But-
Thanks for inviting me on to the show.
Yeah, that one's a doozy over there, Mr. Yang.
Oh, yeah. I like fatties and I like blondes, so it works.
You like fatties and blondes. I don't know. We might get in trouble on that one, but all right. Cheers to that. Ooh. So, anybody's wondering what a pale ale is? It's pretty much, I think it's like malts. I think they make it out malts and barleys, right? Malts.
I have no idea.
It's not too hoppy, though. Pale ale is not Indian pale ale, for sure. But it's not bad. Pretty good.
Yeah, I'm surprised. This used to be called a Session IPA. I wonder why the change. Island Ale now.
I don't know.
Hey, so this is the first time we actually have like a live audience. This is kind of interesting. So
right,
FYI,
that's right.
so I don't think you guys can see if you guys are watching this shit on YouTube, but we got like a audience that are like looking at us here. And Saki Fishing. Saki Fishing is here, Sean. Last time he passed out right behind the camera, so I think he's planning on doing the same thing today.
That's right.
And we have Mrs. Yang right here. I don't know if you can see it, but she's actually making some delicious.
Frying up some ribs.
Right, yep. So we're on site here. We're fishing somewhere south of where we
right.
normally fish, and we're going after. What are we going after this trip, guys?
Everything.
That's right.
White bass,
Well,
catfish.
yeah. Well, technically, this is kind of like the best time for the white bass because this is kind of like their migration to, they're going to fatten up for the winter. So, if y'all want to go fishing, this is kind of like this secret location. This is where they're all showing up. The shad run is on, so this is why we're here. I mean, this is why we picked this time. So, if anybody wants to know, that's why we're fishing is because this is the white bass run right here.
So you're telling me we're fishing because the fish are biting?
Yes, it is.
They weren't biting this morning. Not for
Yeah.
me, anyway.
Yeah. How'd you guys do today? Because I didn't get a chance to go this morning because I told this guy we went fishing last night till about 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to wake up in an hour and a half, 2 hours. Me and Saki decided, nope, we're sleeping. But how'd you guys do at least this morning?
Well, when I woke up, after our little reunion last night, We set a few lines out, like right outside of my tent, within arm's reach, so I could reel in the fish. But in my stupor, I forgot to open up the spool again. So when I woke up this morning, my line was like all the way to the left. I was like, uh-oh. And then I reeled it up, and everything was gone. It got, my line broke off. I think it got caught up on some rocks or something. So that's pretty disappointing. It had to have been a pretty big fish.
Well, that's lessons learned right there for anybody that's fishing, arm's length. Always
Yeah.
have the spool open.
Yeah.
Totally. I totally think that that's up.
And maybe, not go buck wild before you go to bed, so you remember things.
It was a long night last night. It was
It
a
was.
very fun long night with a lot of adult beverages. But no, we haven't seen you in a while. This is Mr. Yang. Like I said, he's Denver, Colorado, right? Tell us a
That's
little bit
right.
about yourself. How about you and your fishing?
Yeah, like, why do we have Mr. Yang here?
Yeah.
Who is Mr. Yang?
Well, I'm just saying, I'm an amateur fisherman, but hey, you know what? I'm just like your fans. I'm like always learning from you guys. So this is kind of like my lake of choice to come. And like I said here, this is the run for the white bass. And I just want everybody to know that, this is what we do. Fishing is about not just about information, but about, it's kind of like timing and kind of like the weather and so forth like that. So that's why we're here. And, I think we're going to kill it later. I know. I have a feeling they're going to come in. It's been a little warm right now, but the temperature has dropped a little bit, and so that should make the fish super active. So I mean, I'm no expert, but 20 years of fishing, I think I've learned a little bit.
Yeah, you just go a lot.
Yeah,
That's what I tell everybody. Like, you're
right.
pretty good at fishing. Like, no, I just go like
Exactly.
all the time.
That's what I'm saying. You go enough times, and hey, you know what? Some days the fishing gods will smile on you.
Yeah, it's knowledge, not skills, I guess.
That's right. That's right. This is built over years.
I have neither. But that's okay. And I keep getting bit. If you guys are wondering why, if you're watching YouTube, why I keep scratching my damn legs, these damn flies here are just tearing me up. We were just talking about this crap. So, what is it DEET free or not DEET free?
This one's the DEET free.
All right,
Actually, I haven't been bit once, and I haven't used either.
That's true.
So, all right, listeners, I've always heard, I don't know if you guys know this or not. So, if you have type O blood, I think you're like more attracted to insects to bite.
I thought it was just because the alcohol consumption actually the carbon that you breathe out. So when you drink, you actually breathe more, and that's why you get the mosquitoes. That's a true fact. They hone in on the carbon dioxide that you are breathing out of your system.
So you're telling me I get bit all the damn time? It's because I drink too much.
Exactly.
You breathe too hard.
And you breathe too hard. Yeah.
So you're saying how much? So
Lose 40 pounds and not drink enough, and no mosquitoes will ever bite you.
So you're telling me my fat ass has everything to do with it and not my blood type?
I'm just telling you the truth today. I told you. You guys put me on this show to tell you the truth. I'm telling you the truth right now. Lose 40 pounds and stop drinking. No mosquitoes will ever look at you the same. Like, dude, there's other fat dudes that we can go.
All right.
I'm just saying.
I'm gonna have to, okay. There's only one way to challenge that, right? So, well, then again, Kit over here doesn't get bit.
Well, not yet. Not by
He's
the
skinny.
flies.
He's skinny.
He's not type O,
He's not type. I don't know.
right? And he doesn't breathe hard. So there you go. See, there's 3 right
So
there.
you're saying I breathe? Yeah. Shit. I better lose some weight.
I didn't say you had to lose weight.
there
I'm
goes-
just saying if you want to stop being bit, that's what you have to do.
Well, there goes my hypothesis of just being type O blood and just blaming that my entire life. When in reality, it was my fat ass breathing too hard and then drinking too much.
That's right.
Thanks, Mr. Yang.
Hey, I'm here to tell the truth. Again, ask your fans if they got any questions for Mr. Yang. I will definitely answer it for you.
All right. So, why do you like white bass so much?
People think that that's really a junk fish, but that the word bass in itself right there, that's like a self-generating fish. And so I think people think of it in terms of like, hey, because they don't stock it, it becomes a junk fish. But in reality, this is a fish that, it sustains itself. And it's a great fishing opportunity for anglers to get at, and they're a great fighting fish, and they're a good table fare too. So I mean, I don't know why this notion of trash fish came from, but I think this fish right here is really a good table fare fish. If you like white, fleshy, non-fishy tasting, then white bass should be on your table. I mean, with other fish, I think this is one of the species that I think that we can actually, responsibly harvest and not have to worry about, you know, the problems with that we have with other fish that don't produce naturally within the system, like walleyes or trout or something like that. So this is like one of the few fish that replenishes itself in most reservoirs that allow it to, that have the capacity to kind of like, have the bait fish and so forth like that. These fish will replenish themselves. So I think this is a great resource. I think people shouldn't look down on white bass. If you have a chance to fish for them, they're a great fighting fish. They're a great table fare. And also, like I said, they're a sustaining resource that I think most people should take more of and leave the other fish that, kind of like the walleyes or, even the catfish or something like that, that are a little harder to replenish in our reservoir. So, I mean, if you're looking for something that, is great table fare and, you're looking for something that you can responsibly, use, I think white bass should be on your top, one of your top fish on there, really.
Did you ever want to be a fish biologist?
Well, you know what? I really did start off as a biologist when I started school. Then I just realized that, they didn't make enough money. So that's why I went into computers. But, I'm just saying I'm always fascinated with, kind of like how human interacts with, their environment. And, fishing is kind of like the ultimate, right? Because you're also you conserve and you're also the ones that are taking the resources. And I think like if everybody had the mindset of like, hey, I can harvest this fish or I can harvest this species and it's going to be great for the environment, that I think we should. But I think we have to limit ourselves because, we have the capacity right now to eliminate every species we know in our reservoirs with all the technology that we have right now and, with all of the gear that's getting better every year, that we can totally eliminate them. And I feel like we should really ask ourselves, like, should we? And then the other one is, do we want to? So should we eliminate them or should we fish them to elimination? I think, that's another issue. But should we do it? That should be the one that stops us. I think, for us to have like, teeming reservoirs and, having everybody enjoy this sport. I think it's more than, just not, it shouldn't just be like, hey, let's get more fishermen on the lake. I think now we have to really think about like, hey, when we have fishermen on the lake, let's conserve. Let's start teaching fishermen about like, hey, what are these resources? Kind of like understanding like, what takes to make a great, a great reservoir, like, Iowa or even in Colorado. I mean, like, we think about like fish and we're like, hey, this is a resource that isn't unlimited. It's a limited resource. And if we want to continue to grow the sport and have people understand like, hey, this is what we want every fisherman to enjoy, catching fish, having your first fish, having the quality of fish that we're going to catch, we have to understand and abide by rules. And sometimes rules aren't written. I think it's sometimes we have to understand like, hey, maybe I got to let this guy go. Maybe I have to slot limit myself. Maybe I have to keep less than my limit because you know what? To me, it's like every fish that I bring in or every fish that I say, oh, I'm going to let go, they're the same memories to me. Because then I feel like, hey, you know what? I caught this nice fish. I'm going to let it go. Somebody else is going to enjoy it. But I have the memories in the back of my mind. And that's the greatest part about fishing. It's not like hunting or anything where like this prey has to go down and then I can't release it. Fishing is like one of those rare sports where like, hey, I could choose to keep every fish or I can choose to say, hey, I'm just looking at this fish, I'm gonna let it go. And I just want people like that listen to your show to understand like, hey, at the end of the day, as fishermen, I don't know about other sports, but fishermen, we have a responsibility to each other to make sure that fisheries that we control, that we fish, continue to have the great experiences that we want. Kind of like in this reservoir that we're here right now. I mean, if we were to keep everything, and not throw anything back, this resource would dry up. But, because a lot of the anglers here realize that, hey, we can't keep every fish and we can't keep everything that we catch. We got to release some of this. This is why this is a thriving reservoir. And this is not just for this reservoir, it's for every reservoir. And I want every fisherman to understand, like, hey, you have a responsibility when you're a fisherman to pass it on to the next generation. And that includes, just not rules and regulations, but also the appreciation for the prey or the game that you're going after. That's all.
Cheers.
Sorry, went philosophical there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That was good info. I like that.
Yeah, we fried up some white bass yesterday. It tastes fine. I mean, it's not a walleye. Everyone's always like walleye and crappies only.
That's true.
But white bass, they're like plentiful, and a few states, at least in Iowa and where we're at here, it's like unlimited. There's no limit, so they can take the pressure. For the most part, I think that's why they're kind of like popular with certain groups of people. We're humans; we can eat everything to death. But
That's true.
yeah, white bass they can handle most of the pressure. That's why a lot of the lakes they don't have a limit on. And but here, man, they get big here. I think there's just enough harvest where there isn't too many that they're all stunted. And if we can find those big ones, man, they're like 2+ pounders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully this afternoon or this evening. That's our goal, and we'll see if we can find them. But I was just thinking, you were just talking about like technology, how it's getting better and better for fishing wise and everything.
Right.
You guys ever think there's gonna be a point where they're gonna ban certain things? Because let's just say we talked about this a while back, I think, kid, but we're just like everything from like Panoptics, then there's live scope, then when does it ever stop? It's going to just continuously get better. Do you think they'll ever say, no, you can't use this technology to go after fish? Because do you think it'll ever destroy or, really endanger fish?
If anything, they'll just change limits. Really.
I think
They're not
so
gonna
too.
ban like live scope or something like that. It's just if they see, I mean, we're not biologists, but if they see numbers decreasing, and then they'll just do whatever they need to do, like DNR wise, to like just reduce limits. And I don't think there's a way they can like point their finger at like, oh, this is why people are catching more fish. We're gonna ban that. And
I think that's right too. And to me, it's like, I think you're going to see fishermen, I think, in the future reject kind of like the technology that gives them such an advantage that, we're going to go back to kind of like back to the days of, kind of like understanding a lake, fishing it, understanding currents and stuff like that without the technology. Because I really do think that the art of fishing is being lost, because the more technology that we bring into this sport, the less hunting or fishing it becomes, right? Because to me, it's like, if you have a technology that is able to pinpoint the fish, tell you what size they are before you even drop in there, what they like, I mean, that is no longer fishing. That is just harvesting. And so to me, it's like, I think you're going to see fishermen understand that, hey, at some point, if I want to challenge, maybe I go back to the days where like I drop a line in, not knowing what I'm going to catch, and just kind of listen to my own instincts of saying, hey, I've presented this lure into this body of water. I don't know what's underneath there, but like, I now have to figure all this out without having a machine, a computer, or a display tell me what's underneath there. I think a lot of people think that most fishermen want to do that, but I think deep down inside, like for me, it's like, I have an LS too, and to me, it's like that. To me, it's like almost cheating in a way, but I think sometimes I just want to fish blind. The thought of catching something I don't know is gonna bite is kind of more exciting to me than really seeing this fish chase a lure, or knowing how many fish are underneath there. I think that's where a real fisherman comes into their own, because that's when you become a better fisherman, is when the technology isn't part of the real fishing trip. It's an enhancement, but I think the fisherman becomes a fisherman because they understand the water, they understand a lake, they understand the biology, the interactions between the fish and whatever environment they're living in. And that's what makes a fisherman complete. It's not the technology. I think it's really easy right now to go out and get, $3,000 equipment and become an excellent angler because you know what's underneath there. Yeah. What I'm saying is a real fisherman is, part of being a fisherman is, one, not knowing what you're going to catch, two, trying to figure out what they want, and 3, understanding the body of water that you're fishing in, because just like any prey, kind of like hunting or whatever, you have to understand what you're trying to fish, what you're trying to catch, and and where they're going to be at a certain time of the year, of the day, of the time. So to me, it's like that. That in itself is a real fisherman. Anybody can go out right now and get any equipment that they want, and I'm not saying like that's a bad thing. I'm just saying like that's just being lazy. If if you use it once or twice, I think to understand where these fish are and what their movement are, I think that's great. I think when you become lazy and you just show up at any lake and use this technology to catch fish, I think that does a disservice to you as a fisherman, because you don't get the joy of understanding like, hey, how, what's the interaction between these fish and their environment, and the prey, and kind of like the lures that you're using, as opposed to like saying, hey, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it because I want to understand these fish. And I think as a fisherman, when you really do that, you really get a better appreciation for the fish that you're catching. And I think at the same time, you kind of educate yourself as like, can this lake take this pressure? Because I know this lake now, and I know what kind of fish that can be produced, as opposed to saying, hey, I just look at a screen and it tells me there's X amount of fish in there. I'm going to get so many fish. I'm done. So to me, it's like, that is kind of like, I want people to understand like, hey, being a fisherman and being a harvester are two different things. One is done for joy. The other one is just done for food. Do we really need to, show up at a lake and just try to harvest as much as we can? Or do we want to show up at a lake and have a good time and try to figure out a fish, try to figure out a lake, try to figure out what they want that day? I think it's the latter to me, really.
You changed my mind a lot now in regards. I like that in regards to harvesting versus and learning the fish,
right?
How it moves, why it does what it does.
Yeah.
To just have an understanding of it versus. Yeah, I like that. Oh, that's very true. I'm still gonna need all the help I can because I suck.
Well, I didn't say like you had to stop today. I'm just saying like, this is kind of like where we are right now in technology in terms of fishermen. Do we say, hey, I want to have these fish to have, because in hunting and in fishing, you have to have your prey have some kind of pre-warning, or let them know that you are really stalking them. And that's the beauty of that, right? Mm-hmm. The prey and the hunter or the fisherman have an equal chance to either bite, not bite, get caught or not caught. And I think the equilibrium with the technology points, is always pointing, it's been weighted against the fisherman for so long now. And so I think we need to kind of like, step back and understand like, hey, fishing for us is not about harvesting. It's about enjoying ourselves, trying to learn a new skill, get people excited about it. And you know what? The surprises that we get when we don't know what we're going to catch, I think that is overlooked between now and then, because, every fisherman, what I'm saying is if I catch a walleye, I'm just as excited as if I catch a catfish, and I don't know I was going to catch a catfish. That's the whole thing. And that's exciting because you know what? You don't know what you're going to catch. But if you lean on the technology and you use the technology to your advantage all the time, you're never, ever going to have that feeling of like, oh, I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't know these fish took this. And 3, I didn't account for these kind of conditions that these fish were going to bite. So I think that's going to make you a better fisherman in the long run. One of these days the technology is going to go away, or, the technology gets so good that we don't want to use it anymore. This is when fishing goes back to its primal roots, and it's not just about You
think that's where we're going to be heading towards?
I think so, because you know what? Just like anything, when technology is introduced and it becomes too easy, too easily obtainable, I think people are going to have this pullback of saying, hey, I want to have my prey to have a chance to do things that I don't expect them to do.
Let me ask you guys, because since both of you two got the live scope, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where do you see, how much more can you get? I guess how much? What do you guys think is going to be the next thing?
Well, I think it can get even better than that. Seriously, because if you really think about it, if you're talking about global positioning, if you're thinking about history and the life scope is that. But what I'm saying is, if there's a technology out there that now can tell you the patterns in which these fish show up at a certain lake, you also tell like what the water temperatures are, when these fish are going to be there, kind of like what they're feeding on. That alone right there, that's a wealth of knowledge that to the inexperienced fisherman that gets it will never understand and appreciate how hard that kind of knowledge is hard to come by. What I'm saying is, real fishermen put in the time, put in the effort, and and kind of stake, kind of like their reputations on catching fish, and that's based upon them. That's based upon their own knowledge, not upon learning all this technology. Not saying technology is bad. I'm just saying, like, at some point, when you're a real fisherman, you have to understand that there are fine nuances that technology can't teach you.
Do you think that will happen one day? You think there'll be a software or technology, like you said, your live scope? Let's just say your live scope that can predict or tell you this is typically this species of fish is going to be here, temperature of water, time of year. It all combined into a live scope. I'm just saying, I could actually see that happening, but I don't know. What do you think?
I just think like with live scope, the way I see it, within the next few years, resolution's gonna get better.
Okay.
For one, and then the delay. There's a slight delay with live scope right now. That's just with technology. Everything's just gonna get faster. Everything's gonna look clearer. But I think it's just basically the information that you have access to. Like, the better that technology gets, the more information you have access to, like, instantly.
Well, that's true, but what I'm saying is, how about information like, hey, I subscribe to LifeScope, and all of a sudden, because I'm on a body of water, it sends me an email like, hey, the run is on. Yeah. Hey, the water temperature is exactly the way it should be. Hey, this is what we think these fish are. And what I'm saying is, hey, the minute we get to that point of, hey, it's no longer fishing, because fishing requires kind of guesswork. It's more of an art than a science. Yeah. There's science in there, but fishing is more of an art. Finessing a lure. Understanding, like, hey, they want hard bait, they want soft bait. But what I'm saying is, at some point, if we keep this down this road, I can get an email one day and say, hey, they're biting on this lure, they're on this body of water.
That's going to happen.
And so what I'm saying is, yeah, the technology in itself right now, I'm just saying, in a couple of years, if this is something that we want to, we could totally decimate these population of fish. And what I'm saying is, can we do it? Of course we can do it. Should we do it? That's kind of what I want all fishermen to understand, is like, it is great to catch fish. I want everybody to catch fish. But at some point, we have to really realize, like, hey, if we don't understand and put in the work and appreciate what a real fisherman is, in terms of, like, hey, trying to understand and stuff like that, I think that's really a disservice to the sport. And so to me, it's like, I really want everybody to have a great time. I want us to use the technology, but sparingly. And I think at some point in our fishing careers, we're gonna have to make tough choices as to what technologies we should use and what technologies we shouldn't.
Yeah. So like, shit, I forgot what I was gonna say. But like, nothing's gonna replace experience, but the better that the technology gets, the gap between an inexperienced person and someone that's been fishing for 20 years like yourself, the gap is getting smaller. For someone that that spent $5,000 on their electronics versus you, let's say you
spent a lifetime learning this. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, that is the difference that I want fishermen to understand is, do you want something that's easily consumable, easily bought, and easily traded? Or do you want to be a fisherman that really understands your bodies of water, really interacts with the environment, and and in some ways really give back to other fishermen in terms of your knowledge, your time, and caring for these fish? Because what, at the end of the day, we have to understand that there is more pressure than ever on these bodies of water. And if the technology gets better and fishermen refuse to, to understand that this gives them an unfair advantage. I'm going to say that right now, unfair advantage. Then maybe, just maybe, we have to understand that we can't, we can't use this technology the way we want it to, or maybe hold back. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying like any technology is bad. I'm just saying at some point, you as an individual, as a fisherman, have to really recognize that at some point, does this give me an unfair advantage, and do I still want to fish and still contribute and saying, hey, I have this look and feel and understand all of this. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you for joining us at Beerfish Fanatics. And this episode is actually brought to you by Whisker Seeker Tackle.
So make sure you guys go to whiskerseeker.com for all your catfishing gear.
Enjoy the episode, guys.
Yeah, just responsible harvest.
Responsible harvest. Yes.
That's all it comes down to, really.
Yes.
Self-regulate in a way.
Yes, and that's what I think that's really where a real fisherman comes in, because you as a fisherman owning a sport, understanding that you are a detriment to this sport because you are taking a resource from these areas, that you have to self-regulate. And like I said, being a good person, being a person with character is not when people are watching, when they aren't watching. And that's all I want real fishermen to understand is, hey, you know what, we can decimate a population, we can totally, wipe everything out, but at the end of the day, when nobody's watching and you do the right thing, I want every fisherman to understand that that is really what I'm trying to preach. That's really what, as a real fisherman, I want to pass on to somebody else. Hey, if they're undersized, let them go. Hey, if you caught too many, hey, maybe don't harvest anymore. Hey, you know what? Maybe someday you go fishing and you don't catch it. You don't keep any fish. That is totally fine too. We have more than enough technology now to where you don't have to mount a fish. You can take a picture, and go to your local, anybody and say, hey, taxidermy, make this one out of whatever material that you want, and mount it on your wall, and you don't even have to keep the fish. So to me, it's like keeping a fish to say I want to mount it. It's almost funny in a way to me anymore.
So if you guys, speaking of taxidermists,
yes,
go check out our previous episode. I'll put the link
awesome
here.
Yes,
here.
With Jimmy.
Lawrence Taxidermy Studio.
There.
Yeah. Right there.
I think it's that way.
Right here. Right here. We're gonna put it right above Mr. Yang's head.
In the middle.
Yeah.
It
So
has to be on the other side.
no. Check out that episode because I learned tremendous amount in regards to of how it happens in regards to mounting fish. You don't have to kill them.
Yes.
And then on top of that, and even if you do, this is the thing. He actually said, he goes, if you're gonna harvest it, he goes, harvest the most ridiculously large one ever, because he goes, then he can use that for the future one. So technically, if you kill one fish, in a way, he said, you're going to save thousands of fish in the future, because then he'll have a mold for that.
Yes.
But he goes, he has hundreds and thousands, I think hundreds of molds, right?
Right.
He said something like that, right?
Something like that.
So he said most of all the fish that you normally catch, like 90-something%, he said, I'll have a mold. But he goes, if there's something that I don't have a mold for, if you harvest that one, it will save future fish that's that size.
That's awesome.
So it's a give and take, he said, and he goes, he doesn't really care. He goes selective harvest. He doesn't really care, but he goes, he's just giving us the information of that's how that works. So, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm not saying like selective harvesting, we shouldn't do that. I'm just saying like I don't want people to go out there and catch all the trophies and then say, hey, you know what? I'm going to keep these all. I'm just saying, as a fisherman, at some point you have to say, hey, this is my best fish for the day. All the other ones go free, or I'm going to take less than my limit. And that's the whole thing. It's like, just because there's a limit doesn't mean we have to try to reach that limit.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's like, in Colorado, you can have, kind of like, hey, each trout you can have 4, right? Hey, you don't have to catch 4. Maybe you keep 1, maybe you keep 2. I don't know. But what I'm saying is every fisherman, and that's the beauty of fishermen as opposed to a hunter or whatever, you can select what you're going to keep and we're going to let go. And, and that's the beauty of fishing. And that's why I don't hunt. I have nothing against hunters. I'm just saying, like, fishing in itself presents a unique opportunity for the fisherman, kind of like the hunter, to say, hey, I want to select what I want to harvest, what I can keep, and what I just want to remember in my memory. Because to me, it's like the best fish is the ones that I let go, and to me, they grow bigger with age. Because every fisherman tells a fishing story, fishing live, I want to say, and it becomes bigger. So this fish that I let go that was 24 inches become 36, becomes 42, and you know what? Nobody can prove that, and that's the beauty of fishing as a fisherman, because we all tell lies.
dude,
and that's the greatest.
Oh, don't get this guy going. It was 30 pounds plus, kid.
Okay,
All right.
so I just want to bring this up. So we went down and caught a blue cat.
Yes.
First it was like 20 pounds, and then the next story is like, okay, 25.
It was 30 plus.
And then it was like 30.
Dude.
Then it was 30 plus. Like this number keeps getting higher every time you tell this story. And there's no pictures, by the way, so there's no proof.
But that's the beauty of fishing. That's
Yeah.
why I'm saying it's like people think that that's a detriment to the sport. That's really the beauty of it. When there is really no evidence, and the stories live on and they just keep growing. That to me is the best part about fishing, because unlike any other sport that you do, this is one of the few sports where lying or exaggerating the truth is accepted.
But I wasn't. I'm not exaggerating. It was 30 pounds plus, man.
Wait.
Are you
Okay,
trying
bro.
to? I'm
Okay.
not. I wasn't lying, dude.
You know what's worse? What would be worse is if you took a picture and then kept changing the weight.
Yeah.
That would be worse.
So since there's no picture, you can leave it up to your imagination.
That's
But if you
that's
took
the
a picture and
best.
it's obviously a 20-pound fish,
Yes.
but then you say,
It was
it's
30.
a 40,
Yes.
people are going to call you out on it.
True.
Exactly.
Social
So-
media for you, though. I mean,
Hey,
just,
that's what I'm saying. Hey, but that's what I'm saying. That's the beauty of being a fisherman and letting a fish go and letting the fishing story live itself.
you know what? I agree with them because of me not taking that picture.
Yes.
The story is going on.
Hey,
You're right.
who can prove it? That's what I'm saying.
I in my own mind, it was 30 pounds.
He
dude.
can't even
You were
prove it.
there.
Hey,
Kid was there, but he was maybe like 50 some yards away.
I'd say at least 50 yards.
Yeah, he was pretty far, so he couldn't really tell. But I'm telling you, I'm a big
Hey.
guy, and it was well bigger than it was about as big. It was well bigger than my leg, and it was 30 pounds plus,
Boys,
man. I'm telling
hey,
you.
Hey,
Denny, we gotta ask Denny. We gotta ask Denny.
Hey.
Denny should. He was
next
close.
time you tell me that story is gonna be 35, I'm gonna be okay with that because I'm a fisherman. I accept stories like that. Okay,
Alright.
I accept stories like that.
But it was, but you know what? It's one of those things where I didn't get the picture, and I was like, at first I was like, man, that really, really sucks. I wanted that, But,
I know,
but it's in my
Gordon,
memory, dude.
Yes, but what I'm saying is this is the beauty of fishing and not documenting to the letter what you're catching, because what I'm saying is these stories are the stories that generate excitement, generate interest, and generate other fishermen to go to where you went to try to catch their dream fish. And that's really, at the end of the day, that's really what we as fishermen really are doing, is having the excitement built into the sport so other fishermen can go out and maybe even best us or try to catch their own monsters or kind of like have their own experiences. And that's, to me, it's like that in itself is the fisherman ecosystem, is the whole maybe the little bit of lying, but the whole thing is like, hey, I want everybody to be interested about going to to do a sport that anybody can do, because let's not kid ourselves. Fishing doesn't require a whole bunch of physical strength. You don't have to be tall, you don't have to be short, you don't have to be fast, you don't have to be skinny, right? What I'm saying is this is a sport, this is one of the few sports that is open to all, and there is really no barrier for somebody to pick up a fishing pole and go fishing. And that's what I love about fishing. That's my excitement about fishing, and that's what I want to bring to people. Like, hey, if you don't catch anything, at least you enjoyed yourself, went and had a good time with your friends, took a day off, kind of relax yourself, rejuvenate yourself. That's all I'm just saying. Is like, fishing is so much more than catching a fish. At the end of the day, you have to really look at the whole mental aspect, the whole physical aspect, and the whole enjoyment with friends, yourself. Hey, some people fish alone because they like the solitude. Some people fish with friends because they like the camaraderie with other. And that's all I'm just saying, is like, fishing is different than any other sport in that you make it what you want it to be. You go after a fish because you have your own reasons. You let fish go because you have your own reasons. And that's what I want every fisherman to really understand about. Hey, fishing is an individual sport that you can make it for yourself, for others, or for your whole family. To me, it's like I'm a big family guy, and it's great. Even when we don't catch fish with my wife and my kids, we have a great time. It doesn't matter. It's not about fishing. It's about being together. It's about being outdoors, being about healthy. That's all I'm just saying. So, have at it, fishermen. I salute every fisherman that's out there right now trying to catch a fish, trying to learn to fish, learn to catch a fish, trying to understand the technology, trying to understand, the behavior of fish, because that in itself, that's the exercise that I want everybody to understand. Like, fishing is one of those sports that the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. And you don't have to be the best, and you still can enjoy yourself. There's nobody judging you as a fisherman. There isn't, short of being in a tournament fishing. But you know what? A bad fishing day to me, like I always tell people, is a better day than working. And there has been more than a couple of trips where like I have not caught fish and I still enjoyed myself. So that's all I'm just trying to say is, fishing is one of those sports that, you make it the way you want it to be, and you understand that that's what you want it. That's what you want. So that's all I'm just saying. So, hey, fishermen, please, like I said, please enjoy yourself. Just understand that, we live in a finite world with finite resources, and, just be selective about that stuff. And, if you're new to it and you want to keep fish, hey, I have never said, hey, as long as you're keeping fish within your legal limits, please do. But what I'm saying is, at some point when you get better, when you're a better fisherman, when you understand your prey more, maybe you got to let a couple of them go. There's nothing wrong with that. That's all I'm just saying. And it's beautiful. That's all I'm saying.
And make sure to pick up your trash. Oh, speaking of that.
Yes.
I have, just so everybody knows, we are still doing the cleanup at Big Creek. And I talked to Derek with 515 Fishing. He's going to be joining us. We're going to coincide with him October 23rd, I believe. And we're looking around noonish, lunchtime. And we'll see. We're going to, I think Fishing Kit, myself, will be there. I think Sake Fishing, Sean will be there. We're going to provide some foods and everything, some drinks here and there. So we'll get more details in the next coming weeks. So, but yeah, we're going to help the Iowa DNR a little bit out, clean up Big Creek. So make sure you guys go see us out there. You guys get an opportunity, but we'll have more details coming up on that soon.
Wow, that's awesome, bro.
Yeah,
that is awesome, because you know what, that's kind of like giving back to the environment, and helping out the fish that you're fishing, and you know what, just making everything kosher and clean for other people to enjoy. And that's I think that's kind of part of fishing too, is you can't always take, you got to give back. And, I applaud you guys for doing that. So,
So you can come and visit us? I mean,
you can come help us clean up.
I know.
Mr.
You got a month. I gave you a month notice.
Hey, you got an extra room at my house.
There you go.
Oh, hey, I'll take a look. And if I have some time, I'll be there. And this time, I'll just come with a trash bag and a picker. How about that? I don't even need a fish. I don't need a fish.
Sounds good.
I got rods for you,
yeah.
Mr. J.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
Okay. All right.
So, this evening, gentlemen, why don't you tell me, what's our plans? What are we gonna target? I mean, we got one more evening here in our trip here. What you guys tell me? I'm just kind of following you guys a little bit. I mean, you guys are better in regards to knowing what's gonna be happening this evening. What's our plan tonight?
We're gonna catch some fish is the plan.
That's true.
Okay.
There's a few spots that we have over here. The night bite's pretty good here, actually.
It is.
Yeah, like back at home, I don't really fish at night much, even though I'm a cat fisherman. I catch most of my catfish during the daytime. But like even here, the white bass, the crappies bite at night. You just got to be at the right place at the right time, I suppose, doing the right stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
And then when I go to bed, I'm gonna cast some lines out for some kitties. And they'll keep waking me up, but if I land a fish, it's worth it.
There you go. So make sure you guys check out his channel. Did you catch anything the other night? Recorded?
The first night.
You did.
Last night was a little rough. Did I tell a story about how I fell asleep and then I forgot to open my thing? Oh yeah, I did.
You told
tell
earlier. Yeah.
But the other night I landed 2 channel casts over 30 inches.
Nice.
So 2 master anglers.
Wow. All right.
and one keeper or one eater, I should
One
say.
Yeah.
eater. There you go.
And so, but I didn't keep any of them because it was 3 in the morning, and I'm not trying to mess around with no fish like on a stringer or a bucket.
Nice, nice.
Very true.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we'll do that tonight.
What's your plans, Mr. Yang? What's your game
Yeah.
plan for
Well,
tonight?
you know what? The other guys had success with catfish, and I've never really targeted catfish here at this reservoir. So to me, it's like to pull in a couple of catfish. That'd be great for me, and that's all I want. Is it's not about catching more. I just want to catch a couple of them because
Yeah.
I've really never targeted them here, which is kind of weird because I've been at this reservoir numerous times, but I've never really targeted them for some strange reason. Walleyes, crappies, white bass, I've done those, but I don't target catfish for some reason. So tonight's gonna be like kind of like new for me. I'm really going to try to catch catfish. So
Yeah.
if I catch one, that's gonna be great. As a fisherman, I would check it off for this reservoir. Like I target it and I got you. I caught some catfish here and there by mistakes, but I've
Right.
never really targeted them. So to me, it's like as a fisherman, if I'm gonna say this is what I'm gonna do tonight, this is what I'm gonna do is try to catch a catfish here. And if I do, that's gonna be great. I'm gonna be super stoked if I catch 1 or 10 or 20. I'm still stoked. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to catch a fish to, like I said, like I was telling people, I'm gonna knock it off my, check it off on my list and say,
Yeah.
hey, I've done it, and that's it.
That's what we'll do. So, hey, make sure though we'll do this. You record tonight, so if he can catch his first targeted catfish
That's right,
at
that's
this
right.
reservoir. So let's record that tonight, and if it happens, you guys gotta check out his YouTube channel so that you can see Mr. Yang in action and see how excited he gets.
Yeah, so
Well-
that's one of the things I want to talk about actually. When you go from the accidental cat
Yes.
fisherman to the you're gonna go out with a game
Right.
plan, like okay, I'm gonna go out,
Yeah, that's
target
different.
this fish,
Yes.
and then you catch that fish.
That is the sweetest. I think that is the sweetest moment as a fisherman to know that you went for something, you planned it. You planned it. You went out and try to do it, and then you actually accomplish it. That's the best part about fishing is when you actually do something and it works out. So to me, it's like if I catch catfish, not like I said, 1 or 100, it doesn't matter. I'm just happy that I caught what I was going for because I've caught them accidentally, and I just want now, like we said tonight, I'm going to use all of my catfishing equipment to try to catch these fish. And if I do it, that'd be awesome. Seriously, kid. So I would be totally stoked.
All right, this is gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Hope Kit will be recording. We'll take some pictures. You guys will see the excitement happen, and we'll start. You guys will
I'm
see it.
excited. I'm
We'll make it happen.
excited.
We gotta
I'm
make it
excited.
happen now. We gotta make
Yeah.
it happen.
We gotta make
catch
it
that
happen.
tonight.
Hopefully, you'll catch a master angler channel cat.
Hey, you know what? When we went blue fishing and I caught that small, I was just, it could have been 30 pounds. It could have been, that little one. I was just as happy, bro. I was so stoked when I caught that. I was like, my first blue, that was awesome. If I could catch a catfish here, just a catfish. Hey, it's a blue great. It's a flathead great. It's the channel's great. I'm just saying, if I catch a fish that I'm trying to catch and I do, it would be awesome. I would be totally stoked.
All right, we're gonna make that happen. So, but other than that, you got anything else for Mr. Yang guy?
No?
How about you, Kit? You got anything else for him?
Okay, one last question, Mr.
Sure.
Yang. What's your favorite part of fishing?
You know what? My favorite part of fishing is just hanging out with you guys, like my buddies. You know what? We can not catch fish, and I always will have a good time. Catching fish is probably the lowest part of every fishing trip that I do. It's not about catching fish. I could always catch fish, but the time that we have together is so limited as fishermen, as friends, and so to me it's like, hey, when we could spend time together like we do right here, and we don't catch anything, I'm fine with that. If we catch anything, that's a bonus. Of course, as a fisherman, I always want to catch fish, but you know what? This is what makes fishing so much fun, that people that do this for a long time understand that at some point it ceased not about catching fish, but being around people that you love, doing what you want to do, and just experiencing what as a fisherman that you want to do. So to me, it's like, yes, hey, if we catch fish, great. But you know what? I love spending time with you guys, and and we do a bunch of crazy stuff, but off camera that thank God nobody will ever see. But this is what I live for. These are the trips that we do because I feel like these are the times that I have the best times, fishing or not fishing. We could show up here and not even fish and it'd be great. But
You know what?
fishing is like an extra, like the like the topping on a Sunday. This makes it even better.
It's just what brings us together. We
Yes.
don't live close to each other.
We don't.
But like fishing is our common ground.
Yes, it is. And
Agreed.
I just want to let you know, audience, that we drove 6 hours each way just to meet here. So it's not like an easy trip. We can't fly in here because there's no major airport. So it's not an easy trip for all of us. But I'm so happy, really, that we make the time to every year to meet here or somewhere else to fish a different kind of fish, and understand that fishing is like so low on the totem pole for me. It's spending time with you guys, telling stories and learning from each other of what works and doesn't work. And that's kind of like the best part. Like I always tell my wife, like after all these events, when I go home, it's always stored in my mind like, wow, that was such a good trip, and I can't wait for us to meet again because I can't wait to tell you my experiences and what works, and hearing from you guys. So hey, fans of BFF, hey, tell us what you guys love about fishing, and what we could do better and what you could do better as fishermen, because what I think this channel is about, not just about like sharing fishing and stuff like that, but really it's about a community. And this is what Gourds is trying to build, is hey, a mutual understanding between people that love a sport and that we want to come together. And so if you have anything to suggest to Gourds or even a kid about his fishing channel, please do, because that only makes us all better fishermen, only makes us better human beings. I know it's kind of weird that fishing makes us better human beings, but that's really how I feel. Like, when we respect the fish, we respect each other, we respect, we just respect, the whole, kind of like the whole world that we live in. So yeah, that's, I'm sorry, pie in the sky, kind of like philosophy going off.
I know.
Thing, but,
Who would have thought? Mr. Yang, so philosophical.
I know. But hey, you know what? You guys caught me in a good day. I got a full buzz on right
There
now.
There we go.
And and hey, this is the truth serum right here. I've always told people that when I start, when we drink and we talk about stuff, and you have enough, that's when there's no holds barred. There is nothing holding me back. What I tell you is, is true now. There is nothing inhibiting me from telling you anything that I don't feel.
What we'll have to do one day is we'll have to do a bonus episode with my brother-in-law. I think he was on our episode before, and with Mr. Yang one day. We'll have to do like a side rated R so we can hear some stories. You would love to hear the stories, trust me. Yeah, but that's for another day. I'll do a bonus episode one day. We can definitely do that. But other than that, no, this is awesome. Just like he was saying, though, we make this trip, a couple times a year. I mean, at least once a year for sure. We try to get down here, and like he was saying, we meet each other. And no, thank you so much, man. Just being a part of our show. And
hey,
just,
I want to thank you guys for one, for coming fishing with me, and two, for inviting me on this show.
Yep.
Because I have a lot of philosophies, and you guys probably hear it too much. But hey, thank you, brothers, for understanding and for listening to me. And hey, for all your fans and audience, hey, if you have something you want to tell us, please do, because I think this, we're trying to make this channel better for Gourds and Kit, and you tell them, and we can really focus on what makes it great for you guys. And that's really what this whole YouTube and social media is about, is hey, getting us all better, getting us all in line. So yeah, I'm just so thankful. Hey, thank you, Gourds, thank you, Kit, for inviting me for this show, and maybe more so.
Let's go get a drink on, and your wife made some amazing ribs, man.
Yeah,
so we gotta go do that, and then we're gonna catch some fish, and then you check into Fishing Kids YouTube channel and see Mr. Yang catch some catfish.
All right.
Hopefully.
Awesome.
Hopefully. Cross the fingers.
Fingers
But
crossed.
Other than that, till next time, guys.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Mr. Yang, always a pleasure.
Hey, thank you, guys.
You guys don't have me in the back, right?
I don't know. We might.
Do you want to
You
You can be
want to
in.
be in the back, hon?
Oh, hell
Maybe they want to know. They want to know the strong woman behind the strong man. That's right.
So